think we are good now. Y'all let me know. Think we should be good. Look, man, I had to make sure. It's been such a crazy morning. I had to make sure I had my mimosa right, and I forgot to make sure my sound was right. Lord, baby Jesus. What is going on, everybody? We are live for a very special edition of Mimosa Monday, where you can ask me anything. We are live right now on YouTube. We are live right now on Twitter or X. Some of you people like to refer to it. I don't know why we're doing that, but we're live right now on Rockfin, and we're live on Rumble. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure you share this video. Like I said, this is a special edition. So although we will be taking all questions as usual, preferably, I would like to hear questions and suggestions and your theories and all that good stuff about what took place on Saturday at Trump's rally. And I got a bunch of videos and stuff that I want to show y'all. You're going to have to forgive me because I'm not as organized as I will be for a normal show. I got a lot of links and a lot of things. But, like I said, I'm a full-time dad and my kids off school this week. So it's been crazy. Just he been in the house all day, working my nerves. RBN's on. Oh, shout out to RBN. I didn't know they were on right now. Do they usually go live on Monday at this time? I don't remember. But shout out to RBN and the crew. We got a lot of stuff to talk about just in the last 24 hours, y'all. Just in the last 24 hours, so much has happened. So many videos have come out. We have new knowledge about what the Secret Service did and did not know before the shooting took place. We've even gotten new information about, Mr. Crook's past. A certain commercial that he might have been involved in. It's been interesting. So as always on Mimosa Mondays, we're gonna take a sip for the homies, holding it down with the 9 to 5. And can't take a sip for themselves. At least y'all shouldn't be taking a sip for yourselves, but I know work can be stressful. So if you gotta sneak in a little shot or two on your lunch break, hey, I'm not judging you, man. I'm not judging. Who we got in the comment section? Orthodium, what's going on? Jared Bethel, thank you for letting me know. And Orthodium, thank you for letting me know about my sound. Appreciate y'all. Krona Ursa, so Nick is on. Oh, word. Tell him I said what's up. Candle Surfer, what's going on? Krona Ursa, what's careful saying it as it is, it could get you removed. Like your comment. Yeah, that's, you know how that go. That's why we got Rockfin. That's why we got Rockfin and Rumble whenever it decides to work for us. What's going on, Nina? In Kansas City, American Disaster. Your name has not rung more true than in the last several weeks, huh? Or years, depending on your perspective. But oh man, y'all, it has been such a wild couple of days. I said it was going to be a long week. I did. I said that yesterday during our live stream. I'm sure that y'all seen a lot more of me lately than what you would probably be accustomed to seeing. So it's because it has been a wild few days. Okay. So in case you are unfamiliar with the rules of Mimosa Mondays, super chats and premium members take precedent. And I will then answer all the questions I find to be interesting. And in between all of that, we will talk about stories, videos, etc. that I find interesting. And I think you guys will find interesting as well. If you guys want to help support the show, you can become a member on Rockfin or become a member on YouTube. And once we got well over, we're like at 60, 70 premium members on Rockfin. But once we get 20 premium members on YouTube, because they just recently started letting me have members again, we will start doing our Rockfin and YouTube premium exclusive shows for our subscribers. And Aaron Robinson, hey Niko, I'm not on the same side of the aisle politically, but I respected your input for the facts. Oh, excuse me. I've respected you for putting out the facts that were happening during 2020 election. I don't know if any other progressive did that. It was rare. There were only a couple of us. Myself, Pasta and Fiorella from the Convo Couch. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know that many. I can't. There's not really a lot of us. I don't know if y'all remember. Oh, Kim Iverson. I don't know if she calls herself progressive, but Kim Iverson, who generally leans left. But there weren't a lot of us, to be honest with you. And the reason why is because hell, a lot of us were being attacked for it by the left. And usually where if you're considered an expert in something, because of your previous experience, people would generally tend to lean on that experience, regardless of political ideology. For whatever reason, in that particular case, people were upset with us because we have experience in election integrity. I'm co-founder of the DNC fraud lawsuit. I help expose not only election fraud at a national level, but in New York, North Carolina, and Florida specifically. Pasta and Fiorella literally not only have exposed election fraud and election integrity issues in multiple states, but in multiple countries. Like Pasta and Fiorella travel internationally to verify and investigate election fraud. But for whatever reason, whenever we were trying to explain to people what happened in 2020 and why we can't possibly know what the results are, and when I say that, I don't mean like we can't know. I mean, we can know, but we won't know because audits are not automatic. And you have to sue because the companies that own these elections are private. They use proprietary software. So therefore, the public cannot have access, which means the public does not own their elections. And that in and of itself is noteworthy, and in my opinion, rebellion worthy. But hey, whatever. Man, when we get into, so thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. And y'all know I got a lot of respect for people who watch this show, and they aren't necessarily. I mean, we got Republicans who watch this show, conservatives. Y'all know I got conservative friends. Like I've never really been shy about that. But I know it's hard to hear an argument that you disagree with coming from somebody that you respect, and then still maintaining that respect for them. I feel like that shows a lot of emotional immaturity. I feel like that shows a lot of emotional maturity, a lot of self-awareness. And in my opinion, that is like, I believe that you are a genuine conservative when you can hear an argument from a leftist. And maybe you don't agree with all aspects of it, but you can agree with some of the aspects of it and build off of that and still maintain your respect and not just have that knee-jerk reaction, leftists. And I have the same respect for leftists who are willing to listen to conservatives, because I listen to some of my conservative friends. I'm like, I don't really agree with that, but hey. But when it's coming from a place of honesty and consistency, it's hard to disagree. It's hard to disagree with being, with at least acknowledging parts of their arguments when somebody's coming from honest place. Even with my conservative friends that I disagree with, if they bring up a good point, right? Which when you talk about something like the 2020 election, for example, my conservative friends were bringing up good points that I hadn't even considered yet. And I'm like, oh, damn, let me go look that up, because that sounds kind of like that should be a bigger deal than it is, right? Turns out, yeah, a lot of the times it is a bigger deal than what people are making it out to be. That's generally what ends up happening. So yeah. Shout out to all of the new subscribers, like the 700 of y'all that have joined in the last 48 hours, which is kind of crazy. Welcome to the party, y'all. So y'all make sure y'all like this video, share this video, and we're gonna get into some of these questions, and we're also gonna get into some of this new information that we've been getting that will probably answer some of your questions. Because low, baby Jesus. Chip Walter, Niko, do you think it's an impossible scenario that Trump was in on this and engineered his bleeding ear. In on it. So I'll say the same thing I said yesterday when I was doing my quick breakdown here and when I went on George Galloway's show. He has nothing to gain, right? There is nothing for Trump to gain by faking an assassination attempt. Nothing at all. Because he was already winning the race handedly. We have to remember this in a grander context. I know that there's like a knee-jerk reaction from those who are naturally and rightfully skeptical of all mainstream narratives. But we have to, before we have knee-jerk reactions, we have to consider context. And the context is Joe Biden and the Democrats, and to be quite frank, the globalist elite, the establishment, those who prefer Biden, because that's not limited to Democrats or Biden, right? That includes a lot of Republicans as well. They've had a really rough couple of weeks, guys. And by rough, I mean literally a Parkinson's doctor who votes Democrat came out and was like, I could diagnose Joe Biden from across the ball. That's a rough week in politics. If your political week right before your convention comes up and right after a debate involves a Parkinson's doctor saying that your candidate is diagnosable from across the mall, that's a rough political week in politics and strategy. You know, I'm just saying, it's a rough political week. Trump, on the other hand, has had numbers favoring him across the board that presidents have not had going against an incumbent damn near in history. He was busting Biden's ass, or rather, I think that we can all agree, Biden has been busting his own ass. The Democrats are at war with each other over this Biden situation. The billionaire donors want Biden replaced. George Clooney comes out of nowhere and makes a whole op-ed to get Biden replaced. Barack Obama apparently consulted with George Clooney and agreed that Joe Biden needs to be replaced. I would understand if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe a day or two before the debates, if Trump was in on this, is it a quote unquote false flag? I would probably be like, you can't really dismiss it. You can't dismiss the possibility. But once again, we have the context of the 2 weeks, guys. That's the difference. We have the context of the 2 weeks of Biden being the worst incumbent and possibly the worst Democratic nominee in history. With also the context of the likelihood that outside of maybe Ronald Reagan, and I think that Trump is probably more popular than Ronald Reagan even was, the Republicans at this moment have the most popular candidate in the history of their party. And he is set to go up against dementia genocide Joe. He has nothing to gain from it. So if you want to ask me if it's a possibility he was in on it, I mean, it's always a possibility. Is it likely? Probably not. There was nothing for him to gain from this. There was just nothing for him to gain from it. And I mean, the call was way too close. And when you look at the circumstances surrounding that attempt, things get a lot more interesting. We're going to look into all that in a second. Sparky, thank you very much for the super chat. Notice all of a sudden Biden is calling Trump by his first name, Donald. Is he really? I did not realize that. I did not realize that. Did he say that during the, for real? Did he say that during the press conference last night? I must have missed it when I watched it. Man, it is a little bit, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. It's actually weirder that Biden even remembers who he's talking about. I'm just happy, I guess, that Biden didn't refer to Trump as his vice president again, right? Let me see. I saw something else that was a good question. Snake Man Mark, Secret Service, incompetent or complicit? I'm gonna tell y'all what I told you yesterday. The Secret Service does not work for the president. The Secret Service works beside the president. I mean, who y'all want? Y'all, not just the president, by the way. I mean, generally, anybody who has Secret Service help, which is why I was like, I don't know why I understand the principle behind why RFK Jr. wanted Secret Service and was pissed that Biden was disallowing it. However, at the same time, given his family's history, I didn't understand why RFK Jr. wanted Secret Service help, because they don't work for the president or presidential candidates. They work beside them, right? In other words, this is the same Secret Service that let JFK, after pissing off the CIA, ride through Texas in a drop top. Yeah. Y'all gonna explain to me why that seemed like a good idea at the time? Because there were a lot of people that actually advised against it. Come on, y'all. This is the same CIA that let RFK get popped. RFK had Secret Service too. RFK Senior. I think that wasn't there 2 attempts on RFK's life, if I'm not mistaken. Hell, even Ronald Reagan got shot, and if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember if that was before or after. So at one point, Ronald Reagan was going to make peace with Russia because of the impending threat of nuclear war, and I can't remember if it was before or after he got shot that he changed his tune. Don't quote me on that one. He did get shot and survived, but he was actually in the middle of making. He was at one point he was going to make a deal with Russia that was going to negate nuclear war. Was going to actually disarm. Everybody was going to disarm. That was like what the deal was, because everybody was really waiting for the U.S. and the USSR to completely disarm, and they were going to follow suit. And Reagan, out of nowhere, after agreeing to this idea, apologized. I want to say to Gorbachev. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was Gorbachev. There's a video of him trying to rush into his limousine. He apologizes after. He's like, "Yo, come on, bro. Like, don't do this." Like, I want to say it was Gorbachev that was like, "Don't do this, bro. Please don't. Like, don't change your mind." He was like, "I'm sorry, bro," and just kind of takes off running. So, if you want to ask me if the CIA was incompetent, like, I mean, there's a little bit of incompetence that goes into it. It's usually a healthy mix of incompetence and corruption. But the Secret Service doesn't work for the president or any candidate. They work beside them, but we know who they really get their orders from. That's like saying the FBI works for the president. Yeah, technically speaking, the FBI, it technically falls under the executive branch. Technically, so does the CIA. Technically. But was Andrew McCabe working for Donald Trump whenever he conspired with other FBI agents in the Hillary Clinton campaign to accuse Trump of treason, saying that he worked with Putin to rig the 2016 election? I don't think so. Yeah, but technically he worked for Trump. Was every single FBI agent guilty of corruption that may have assisted directly or indirectly? Not necessarily. Some were probably incompetent, and that incompetence was used to the advantage of people like McCabe. So it's usually a healthy mix of both, right? Incompetence and corruption. Lincoln, in retrospect, is pretty popular. Oh, did Lincoln have Secret Service? That's a good question. Let's look it up, Niko. I can't remember if Lincoln had Secret Service, but did Lincoln have Secret Service? When the Secret Service was established, its main duty was to prevent the illegal production and counterfeiting of money. In the 1800s, America. So what? So technically, I guess Lincoln had Secret Service, but the narrative now is that that wasn't their job to protect him. Why would they call it Secret Service? Because I'm dead. I'm reading a history of Secret Service right now. It says that the Secret Service's main duty was to prevent illegal production and counterfeiting of money. In the 1800s, America's monetary system was very disorganized. Bills and coins were issued by each state through individual banks, which generated many types of legal currency. With so many different kinds of bills in circulation, it's easy for people to counterfeit money. During Lincoln's administration, more than a third of the nation's money was counterfeit. Was it counterfeit, or was it just being made by the Confederacy? Because I mean, that's pretty. I feel like that's a pretty genuine inquisition. Anyway, on the advice of the Secretary of Treasury, Hugh McCulloch, President Lincoln established a commission to stop the rapidly growing problem that was destroying the nation's economy. And on April 14th, 1865, he created the United States Secret Service to carry out commission's recommendations. Guys, that sounds like the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. I'm not even going to cap. That don't even sound believable. That sounds like a goddamn lie. Because what they're basically saying is that Lincoln created the Secret Service, and it sounds like they're giving cover to the fact that, yeah, even though Lincoln created the Secret Service, assuming that, you know, at the time, the job would have been, because I don't know why do you call it the Secret Service to protect the country from counterfeit bills? Now, that name does not match the description of the job. And it sounds like this is just a story that was made up, because it would be mighty peculiar if Lincoln created a Secret Service and while the Secret Service was existing, Lincoln died under the protection of the Secret Service. Right? It sounds like one of those kind of stories, right? It sounds kind of bullshit, I'm gonna lie to you. It really does, right? Chip Walker said, Niko, I agree. It's probably not likely, referring to Trump being in on it. I just don't understand people convincing themselves they've gamed the whole scenario out, then omit that possibility. It is a logical fallacy to do so. It is a logical fallacy to admit the possibility that Trump is involved. It technically is. It doesn't lean in that direction, but even though we know the duopoly and the globalist elite have a preference, Trump is still part of that duopoly at the end of the day. So it would technically be a logical fallacy not to at least consider the possibility that he was in on it. Right? Technically speaking. Sparky, thank you for the super chat. Yup, and it seems like Joe's been told to play nice because globalists intel his administration and the deep state were in on it. Oh yeah, of course he's gonna play nice. What? He got to. Bro, I'm pretty sure that Joe Biden, I ain't gonna cap you. I feel like Joe Biden woke up that morning. He was not just Joe. I feel like Bill Clinton came out. I thought all of them, when they went out and tweeted that shit, because you saw a lot of Democrats waited like hours to tweet about it. As if they were trying to figure out, maybe because they got his ear, right? They saw him go like this. So they're like, damn, let's hold up and let's wait till we hear the news, because maybe we shouldn't, maybe we need to wait to give our condolences instead of saying we wish a speedy recovery, right? Like they were waiting. The Republicans immediately tweeted about it, like even without knowing what the result was, just to send out, their thoughts and prayers or whatever. A lot of people were like, yo, what the hell's going on? But a lot of the Democratic elite waited like an hour or more to even mention the assassination. And if you all remember the headlines, horrific. It was a reminder as to why y'all come here to get your news rather than going into mainstream media. Boy, I remember I saw a headline, shooter arrested after Trump falls down or some shit like that. Well, I was like, y'all lost your minds. This is crazy. Sparky said, Lincoln used Pinkerton. Presidential security is a small sideline for the Secret Service. That is technically true. That is true. My cousin actually worked for the Secret Service, but he's rarely next to the president. He's usually doing like random details around DC. He said he's almost never next to the president. So there are a lot of things that have come to light in the last couple of days. And we're going to try to come through it, to look at, or to go through it, excuse me, to look at some of what has taken place. So y'all remember how a news story came out recently and said that the cops chased dude around and then the sniper got him? They said that the killer, Mr. Thomas Crooks, actually descended on his ladder. The cops chased him around, then they got him. And the reason I'm bringing this up, this is just one of those, like I said, y'all, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, a lot of weird things in the story that aren't matching up, which leads me to believe it's more than likely a conspiracy and an inside job. So the reason I bring this up is because Thomas Crooks, the guy who was found, or not found guilty, they killed him. Thomas Crooks is right here and he's dead and it's still on the roof. There was a video that showed him dying too. Actually, I have the short of it. But y'all see this, right? It's blood all over his face, all over his body. Okay. I posted it. I posted it when a matter of fact, I posted it when it came out because I said, let me go ahead and start posting a lot of this stuff now because I knew, which I'm sure a lot of y'all did, it won't go and fly. They were not going to let these videos stay up. This is
follow it.
But even though this press conference was horrible for Biden, this is just one press conference. I'm not sure why. Oh, that's weird. That started playing.
That's exactly where I heard him come from.
What did you see, sir?
Lá em cima, né? Aqui, ó. You can see the guy there.
So he was still on the roof.
I think they hit him.
But a story came out saying that he used a ladder and he climbed down. The police chased him for a bit and then the snipers killed him. I'm going to see if I can find it. Matter of fact, we're going to see if we can find that. Because that ain't what happened. Also, funny, ironic story. Like that video that I just happened to come across on Twitter that day. Oh no, somebody sent that to me. Somebody sent it to me that night. I'm like, why? What is this man saying? And I realized the guy is actually speaking Portuguese. Just like a weird coincidence that this Brazilian guy was there and recording. Because what he says is aqui, which is basically like aqui is like it's right there, like it's over here, kind of thing. I was like, what the hell? And his accent, I was like, yo, is he speaking Portuguese? So he was a random Brazilian in Pennsylvania at Trump's rally for some reason, recording. So that's bizarre. Should chase my cops before a shot. I'm gonna see if I can find a story for y'all. Because hold on. Oh, now it's 3 hours ago. One of the news, one of the media sites came out and said it was actually the cops who were responsible for that building. It wasn't Secret Service. Bro, the Secret Service had the snipers, not the cops. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, on the roof, open fire station area. Technical team was doing overwatching crowd line, bro. Not immediately clear. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can find. If y'all can find that story. The building, hold on, let me see. If y'all can find that story, Send the link in the chat. Because I read it quickly yesterday and forgot to save it. The so the building where gunman Thomas Crook scrambled onto the roof and opened fire was a staging area for the local police tactical team doing overwatch for the crowd. 2 law enforcement officials said. It was not immediately clear that where the team was located in the building. That's now somebody is saying. It says sources previously told ABC News that the building had been swept, but investigators are trying to determine whether roof access had been properly locked down. The gunman gained roof access without a ladder, according to source, which is the total opposite of what eyewitnesses said. Right? That's a total opposite. This is crazy. Yeah, nah, see, that's what I'm talking about. This is what I mean. I can't. What do you mean that there was no ladder? Literally, multiple eyewitnesses say, yeah, he climbed the ladder. Yeah, he climbed the ladder. Yeah, he climbed the ladder. He was going up the ladder. And now all of a sudden, they go out of their way to be like, he didn't use any ladder access. That doesn't even make any sense. Sparky, in the early days of cell phone, Secret Service even went after counterfeit cell phones. I worked with them when I was in with the phone company in the late 80s. They went after. You can have a counterfeit cell phone? How do you have a counterfeit cell phone? Cell phone that does, like a cell phone that isn't connected to a major network? That would make sense considering how they were trying to consolidate all the major they weren't cellular networks. They were telecommunications networks at the time, like Sprint, AT&T. There were a shitload of telecommunications networks, and then there were like 4 because of the Telecommunications Act of, I want to say 1996-ish. Hold on. I need to find. You know what? I got that. We gonna, because that's crazy. I know that one of these damn witnesses, several of them, probably, brought up that
You can see the guy.
At the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
Right.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, oh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain.
So he's not the only one, by the way. He literally says, I tell the cops are scrambling. We're looking at Secret Service pointing at him and screaming. Secret Service is staring at them. Minutes go by and no one's doing anything. And like I said yesterday, if you've ever ran duty or detail on something like this, especially if you've been like, my own experience in this particular situation would be in the Army, right? I was part of a detail during Joe Biden's visit to Fort Bragg, which apparently is Fort Liberty now, and nobody calls it that, but that's what it's called now. Super weird. Anyway, yeah. So I was part of a detail for Joe Biden back in the day, which is crazy, right? Because if you're gonna do the detail for somebody, man, like who wants to be on a detail for Robin? We at least thought it was gonna be Obama. That's what we were told at first, and they were like, "No, this is Joe Biden." We're like, "Oh, are you serious? This is whack." Somebody cared about Joe Biden anyway. The NCOIC are the non-commissioned officer in charge, and all the officers in charge who are communicating with Biden's staff and the local police departments who were helping. Everyone had a radio to communicate, and you're on the same channel. So the moment that the police were alerted to something like this, everyone else would have gotten a call, including the sniper that took him down. Not after the shots rang out, but beforehand. You get what I'm saying? And once again, it would be different if it was only the police who saw. But not only this witness, but several other witnesses have all said the Secret Service was aware. They pointed and they caught attention from the Secret Service as well as the police. The Secret Service was looking at them and looking at the roof and didn't do anything until after.
The shots came from that guy on the roof.
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up
You
there,
saw him up there.
50 feet away from us.
So that's just one witness.
And you know, that's a little bit. He's going
That's so y'all hear them screaming, he's got a gun before the shots start ringing off. There was another interview where a kid and his dad, what a sad day, because it was his kid's first political rally ever. And the kid and his dad tried to warn the cops too, and they didn't listen. Now, if you're gonna tell me that cops are incompetent, I will agree with that. Like, I'm never going to just, I've seen it personally. Shit, I know some. But like, to keep it real, how many interviews can we see where we're like, yeah, man, we told them in advance. Yeah, man, we told them in advance. Yeah, man, we told them in advance. How many times can you hear that or see that and be like, oh yeah, the Secret Service didn't know? And then there was this that popped into my feed this morning. Y'all make sure I go follow Hotspot. Matter of fact, because we try to post all the breaking news we find on Hotspot in addition to all of the stuff that me and Nick cover. You get breaking news there. So I'm gonna go ahead and post that in the feed, and y'all make sure y'all go follow us there. And y'all go share some of the stuff. We've been posting a lot of all the news that's been breaking about this Trump situation. And here is one of the ones, guys. Here's one of them ones. Did y'all see this breaking news from NBC? This is this morning.
That the roof where the shooter was located was a well-known, high-priority vulnerability. It was identified just the day before during a security walkthrough. We've also just learned that there were 2 counter-sniper teams on site and that the counter-sniper did not need approval to shoot. One source telling NBC News that prior protocols were not followed. That the roof.
I'm gonna play it again because this video's not, well, we got it on Hotspot. We got it in our archives now. So we gonna have it forever. But this video's gonna get taken down. If not by Twitter or by YouTube, it's gonna get taken down. Okay. So I'm gonna play it again. If you need to save it, go to Hotspot and pull it.
Proof where the shooter was located.
That's weird. Y'all can do that. Okay. Because y'all heard it from NBC News, not from Niko House's mouth. Just to be clear.
That the roof where the shooter was located was a well-known, high-priority vulnerability. It was identified just the day before during a security walkthrough. We've also just learned that there were 2 counter-sniper teams on site and that the counter-sniper did not need approval to shoot. One source telling NBC News that prior protocols were not followed.
Boy, she said a lot. She said a lot right there. And she looked mad as hell like, hold up. What you mean, y'all? Because remember, what have we been told? The excuse has been that was a blind spot. The one sniper couldn't have seen it, even though we know that doesn't make any sense because the sniper was the one who took him out. So it couldn't have been, you understand what I'm saying, guys? It couldn't have been a blind spot whenever the sniper who was in position took him out. We were under the impression for at least 24 hours that it was only one sniper. There were 2. we also were under the impression, because we were told that this was once again a blind spot, and that's why there was no reaction, and that's why they couldn't see the guy. But it turns out no, it was swept. They were aware of this vulnerability, and supposedly they were dealing with it. You know what? To be completely honest, guys, it makes sense why they had 2 snipers, because they probably were aware of the vulnerabilities, not just there, by the way, but I'm sure there were other vulnerable places. But it makes it even weirder that this was a well-known spot, a blind spot, if you will, a vulnerability. And this 20-year-old kid happened to know that it was a vulnerable spot. That's what's weird to me. It's not like this kid is some ex-military special forces CIA guy. It's not like this kid is an expert marksman who spent some time doing mercenary work. You get what I'm saying, guys? To know exactly the event layout for Trump, and then because the kid would not know the event layout for Trump unless he worked for the campaign, was part of the plan. And I've worked for a campaign, and so I work for 2. And so I'm telling you, half the time we don't even fucking know until the day of, and sometimes it's hours before. So he would have had to know the campaign layout in advance to know that that was a blind spot. And he also would have to have some kind of experience with chinks in the armor of security. What I'm really saying is somebody had to tell him, is what I'm saying. Like, he had to know. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. It's bizarre. Sparky said, I think they meant the building was literally swept with a broom. It was the analog days of cell phones, NOMs, EPROMs, and all that, EPROMs and all that stuff. I got you. Understood. Man, that's made me feel old. That's whenever Mercedes used to put phones in their car. Y'all remember that? You were the coolest person ever if you had a Mercedes with your phone in the car. Sparky, they silenced him. Jack Ruby style. What it seems like. Because if I mean, that kid, did you need to shoot him in the head, guys? To subdue him? Because, like, I feel like you need to have a motive. You want to investigate him, et cetera, et cetera. He already shot people. Everybody's down. The president is gone. So it makes more sense to subdue him, which you could have done. They could have done. They have the ability to do that. Shit, if you could have shot him in the head while he was moving, because they said that he was scrambling. They said he was on the move, and then he just got shot in the head. So if you're that fucking accurate, you could have subdued him. You should have shot him in the leg. You could have shot him in both legs. Just saying. Aaron Robinson, thank you very much for the super chat. Maybe when the crowd yelled, he's got a gun, the Secret Service started looking for someone with an artillery piece rather than a rifle. An artillery piece? Is that sarcasm? Maybe, I don't know, but it makes more sense. If somebody says he has a gun, so in the context of the rally, this was outside of the rally event. However, it was inside the perimeter of security. That's a point that's been made very clear. So if they said it outside of the rally event, one would presume it was a rifle, at least. That ain't about to be no pistol shooting from back there. Now, it's a possibility that it could be a pistol, but if everybody's screaming he's got a gun and it's from that far back and it's outside the rally, it's probably safe to assume that it would be a rifle, especially when someone is also screaming he's on the roof. Not just someone, multiple people. The Secret Service has no their excuses are basically non-existent. They don't have an excuse. That's why, like, when we talk about incompetence versus corruption, this incompetence is so grotesque that it only could possibly look like corruption, like the Secret Service was in on it. I mean, Jesus Christ, guys. And like I said yesterday, I know this is it's not an appropriate time to joke, but this is also like this is the reality of the Biden administration. Everything Biden has done, everything his administration has done, everything the Democrats have done, and hell, you can make an argument that everything that the puppet masters have done since Biden has taken office to try and take Trump down has literally, not just Trump, everything they've done. Every time they try to make a situation work out in their favor, it actually makes the situation worse. We can look at Ukraine. When they tried to sanction Russia into oblivion. Do y'all remember that? I used to work for RT. Okay, I don't work for RT anymore because of that. Because they sanctioned and killed RT America. And then they sanctioned the RT International show. Like they took the office away, sanctioned RT America, then sanctioned, because RT used to be shown on some cable news networks, but also on satellite. Hell, RT, if y'all didn't know, RT International used to be shown on flights and things like that. Okay. And then America sanctioned them into oblivion. Okay. They also sanctioned credit card companies, they sanctioned businesses, et cetera, et cetera. They thought, what Biden thought and what the West and what NATO thought was going to happen was that it would kill Russia's economy. It did the opposite. Russia's economy has never been better because they knew it was going to happen. They were prepared for all this. And once again, whereas the United States only thinks maybe in terms of a corporation by only accommodating for every fiscal quarter, Russia has been planning for the US and NATO to act an ass for decades. Like every reaction that NATO or the United States tried once Russia and Ukraine war started, Russia was prepared for it and had an immediate reaction, and it made Russia come out looking better. NATO tries to add, they've gone through, think about it, NATO's gone through all this to add one country, which would be Ukraine. They're not really trying to add them officially, but they're trying to add them by proxy. They've gone through all this, wasted all this money, taken all this damage, and not only physically and fiscally, but credit into their credibility, they've taken damage. And BRICS is doing better than ever. BRICS, which was once an idea, a possibility. BRICS was something that I started learning about in college in 2014, and it was just an idea. Like, yeah, and people, and even my professors didn't believe that it would truly come into fruition because they said, well, the countries that could mostly benefit from BRICS are still kind of under the thumb of the Western hegemon, and NATO would likely step in, OPEC would likely step in, et cetera, et cetera. But they couldn't predict that the United States was going to be this damn stupid. So now, whereas Saudi Arabia was once a firm ally with exclusivity when it comes to economics, when it comes to the United States, now they're part of BRICS. And they just threaten all of NATO, saying if they withhold money from Russia, rather, if they steal Russia's money again, then there will be consequences. So everything that Biden has tried, remember whenever the coup in Niger, Biden was doing all this, ECOWAS was doing all this, because the Nigerians took their country back, and there was all this talk from Macron and all of them about what they were going to do about it. And now their asses are gone. They on up out of there. They gone. Ukraine has lost generations of men because of what took place, really because of NATO's war. Biden and his Justice Department have been weaponizing the justice system against Trump, and Trump might be the only person in the history of politics who gets a mugshot and becomes more popular after. I think there was only one mayor in Canada who who can claim something like that. He smoked crack and actually won an election right after. But when you talk about careful planning and abysmal failure leading to their adversaries in a better position than before, this is perfectly on brand for Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden's MO. Failure leading to your adversaries' eventual success. Man, this isn't even like just on brand for Joe Biden right now. This is like on brand for Joe Biden generally. Joe Biden is a loser. Make no mistake about it. Remember, this is, once again, we got to remember, this isn't even his first time running for president. He tried that before, lost, because he had to plagiarize a speech. Because he's an idiot. And he only employs people to his administration whenever he wants them to participate and engage in the corruption that he is facilitating. Not because they can contribute in some significant way, not because of their expertise, but because they're willing to look the other way. That doesn't really build a lot of confidence when you think about it, guys. Come on. Helpful harm featured in the BlackRock commercial. Yep, we're going to talk about that in a second. Probably got a rec from his teacher, recommendation, I'm assuming, who knew he was great with the rifle. He probably did jobs before. Which 1% of members live in PA? Oh, in Pennsylvania? There is some truth to that. In Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. So I don't know if y'all know this. Correct? It might be Massachusetts, but Pennsylvania is also one of those states where a lot of CIA operatives live. But in Massachusetts, it's one of 5 cities or 5 counties, if you will, that does not hold a census. There is a city in Massachusetts that does not hold a census. And I want to say one of the other ones is in Pennsylvania. Don't quote me on that. Actually, let me see if I can look that up. Cities in the U.S. that doesn't. And I hope I can find it, because this is back in the day where I had to look this up, and I confirmed it for a friend of mine. But there are cities in the U.S. that do not, or they, at least at one point, they did not conduct census. It turns out that those cities were also homes to CIA cover-up operations like insurance companies, financial companies, etc. But I'm gonna find that in a second. But yes, we are gonna look at that BlackRock commercial in a second, because I got a little more information on that we're gonna discuss. Sparky was kidding. As an Army vet, you remember that we had to call them rifles or weapons, since gun meant an artillery piece. Actually, that is true. That is very true. I forgot about that. Oof. Man, we had to do some cringe. Like, they were weirdly cringe about some shit in the military. The military can oftentimes, in my opinion, be accurately described as a fucking cult with the way, especially in basic training, bro. You develop your own lingo and language in basic training. There are so many inside jokes that you almost completely forget about them once you leave it, because nobody talks like that when you get to your actual unit. But there's a lot of like cult like behavior that takes place in basic training. But I definitely forgot about that. If it makes you feel better, Niko, Biden is still the most competent member of his administration. Oh shit. Oh man. No, it doesn't make me feel better, actually. That does not make me feel better. It means that he's not in charge. That's the scariest part about Biden's dementia. Right? That's the scariest part about Biden's mindset, is that it is confirmation that he is not in charge of a damn thing, right? Let me see if we can find. I'm gonna see if I can find this commercial for BlackRock. Let me see if we can find this, because yeah, that happened. You know what's crazy about that commercial? Is when it was done. Not just commercial itself, but like the fact, like the day it was done. Here we go. I said hotspot, man. Go. I'm gonna pull it up for y'all. Tell y'all, man, go to hotspot. Y'all the breaking news fast as hell. Once again, shout out to all of our new subscribers, all 700 of y'all that came in the last 48 hours. You crazy people. You crazy, lovely people. You crazy, lovely darlings. All right. The BlackRock angle, because BlackRock is always involved somehow, right? This guy looks like a CIA agent. Look at that haircut.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do.
BlackRock helps manage pension plan assets that cover roughly half of the U.S. public school teachers. Yeah, that's not unsettling at all.
I hope when I retire someday, they say, you know, that guy made this place a special place to come to school and gave as much as he could to help the community.
Hey, how much I want to bet that man ex-military? At bare minimum, ex-military. Yeah, look at this guy. Look at that guy. Hey, does he look familiar? Hey, I ain't gonna cap. This, do y'all see this? It might be hard to read the writing, but when his face pops up, it says that guy made this place a special place to come to school. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny, right? Come on, bro. So you're trying to, guys, I need y'all to understand something. What makes this whole situation crazy, it's not even the fact that he appeared in the commercial. That's weird enough in and of itself. It's the fact that this commercial was done in 2022, right around the time the war with Russia and Ukraine started. Okay, so that might not be weird enough for you. Okay, so shortly after, well, I think it was at the beginning, it was January of it was actually January 2024. Yeah. Project Veritas actually put out an expose where a BlackRock recruiter exposed the fact that BlackRock is profiting probably more than damn near anybody else off of this war in Ukraine because of the volatility created by the war. He used the example of wheat because Ukraine is a very large wheat producer. So whenever there is war, there is also instability. Where there is instability, there is profit to be made. BlackRock has profited off of this probably more than anybody. So, and that piece, that was put out in January-ish, February-ish, 2024. Okay. So maybe that's not enough for you guys. Okay, fine. But did you also know, also announced around January 2024, that Kiev is building a bank in the middle of Kiev. And their goal is to invest in the new construction and the rebuilding of Ukraine and its infrastructure post-Russia war. Do you know who is fronting roughly $500 million to what they hope to be $1 billion to this particular bank. Go ahead, take a guess. Go ahead. I dare you. I bet you don't know. BlackRock and JP Morgan. Right? Like, of course, it can't just be BlackRock. You know, they're not the only ones who get all the fun. If it's got to do with war, best believe JP Morgan and Chase is going to be somewhere around the corner. There wouldn't even have been a World War I if it wasn't for JP Morgan Chase. Yeah, that's right. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can find an article for you. I'm gonna see if I can find an article for you. There we go. Oh, that wasn't hard. I'm kind of surprised. So, Ukraine Reconstruction Bank eyes $1 billion in committed capital. A Ukraine Reconstruction Bank being set up by Kiev with help from BlackRock and JP Morgan Chase has at least $500 million in committed capital and could be ready to launch in 5 or 6 months. This is 5 or 6 months from January 17th, 2017. So it says that this bank could be ready to launch in 5 or 6 months with close to $1 billion. A senior Ukrainian official said on Wednesday. We have at least $500 million in commitments. I think it will be close to $1 billion in commitments in catalytic capital. Deputy head of President Volodymyr Zelensky's office said. Catalytic capital refers to capital like investments, debt, and guarantees, which the investor accepts higher risks for greater social impact. I'm going to read that again. Catalytic capital refers to capital like investments meaning there will be a return. Capital like investments, debt, which has to be paid back, and guarantees in which the investor accepts higher risk for greater social impact. And let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen, is there really any risk for BlackRock? Is there ever really any risk? Because what we learned from that recruiter for BlackRock and from Project Veritas is that basically BlackRock tells the U.S. government what to do, and the U.S. government does it. Kiev engaged BlackRock and JP Morgan last year to help set up a fund to raise public capital that could attract private investments for Ukraine's post-war reconstruction, estimated to cost hundreds of billions of dollars. Of around 280 projects that had applied to the fund, so 280 projects, bro, 280 projects that had applied to the fund so far, BlackRock and JP Morgan saw between 25 and 30 as ones that could be seriously considered. So not only is BlackRock specifically involved, but there are a bunch of venture capitalist firms that are involved in the reconstruction of Ukraine. BlackRock Vice Chairman Philip Hildebrand told Reuters earlier this week in Davos that the fund could be ready for action within the year. The asset manager was assisting Kiev in discussions to seek sovereign money from development banks or principal donor countries to mitigate risks for private investments, Hildebrand, a member of the company's global executive committee, said. So, yeah. Shout out to all my new subscribers. I bet y'all ain't heard that one yet, huh? It's kind of what we do around here. Hold on, let me refill my drink. Hold on. Because we not done. I'm sorry, I'm getting more orange juice. Strictly orange juice for YouTube. If you're listening, YouTube, it's only orange juice. I call it Mimosa Mondays, but it's a lie. It's cap. Anyway, like I said, shout out to my new subscribers because I'm pretty sure this is the first time y'all have heard that, huh? I know everybody's so hype about like, oh man, it's crazy. Black Rock was involved. Yeah, nah. It's a little bit more than he was involved in a commercial with Black Rock. It's a little bit worse than that because he was involved in a commercial with Black Rock in 2022, right when the war started. He comes from this small school in this even smaller town in Pennsylvania, of all places. And this campaign event, which I'm sure Trump didn't actually plan, it's Trump country, right? So it's easy to sell to Trump that he should go here before going to wherever else he's going. Actually, no, he was going to go to the convention. The convention is today. By the way, Trump's going to announce his vice president today as well. But this is just a weird stop to make. Where Black Rock did a commercial, somebody in his campaign probably told him to go here. Like, this is where you should do your last event before the convention. Definitely. It's just totally the place. Random small town, Pennsylvania. And it was the reason that they said they chose that place is because it was supposed to be celebratory because Trump had firmly won that town. So he was not going there to campaign, allegedly. It was supposed to be celebratory. Somebody sold this idea to him. And it just so happens to be the weird, random small town where this kid, Thomas, was about, what, would have been 17, maybe his senior year. It would have been probably because he's 20. He died, he's 20, so it would have been his senior year. So he'd been 17, 18 years old. His senior year. And just so happens to appear in a Black Rock commercial with this particular teacher who I'm pretty fucking sure if we go and look his goddamn name up and go look, oh wait, man, let's, for shits and giggles, let me just see if we can figure out what the guy's name was. Because I'm pretty sure we already know the answer, but I'm just going to see if we can figure it out because, you know, it's always fun. Who was the teacher in Black? Oh, what makes it all the more suspicious, by the way, is the fact that, so first of all, Black Rock maybe could have played it off and been like, yeah, man, you know, that he's a lookalike. That kid wasn't really in that commercial. They could have played it off. Problem is, they confirmed that it was this kid in that commercial. And instead of being like, yeah, but that's just like a random coincidence, we do commercials all over the country. And then giving a specific reason as to why they did a commercial in Pennsylvania, in that town, in that school, and with that teacher. They could have given a reason, ladies and gentlemen. And it wouldn't have been suspicious. Because if you would tell me that we did it in this particular town because of the number of older people, because of the number of veterans in this town, et cetera. You get what I'm saying? Like, and this school is the largest school in a small town, or the only school in a small town. And their senior class is small, and this teacher only teaches seniors. Like, you understand what I'm saying? You could have said whatever. You could have made a legitimate, because that all could be true. I mean, the logic in that, if you've ever lived in a small town, makes a lot of sense. But instead of doing that, they're like, yeah, man, we're going to take this shit down. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Isn't that a bit suspicious? Y'all don't find that suspicious? Come on, bro. Y'all don't find that suspicious in the least? Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. We just getting started going down this rabbit hole. It's there. So I'm gonna read y'all what I'm looking at on CBS News. The ad, which was produced in 2022, was filmed at Bethel Park High School, where Crooks was a student at the time. BlackRock filmed the spot as a part of a series aimed at teachers managing their retirement assets in a classroom led by a real teacher, and which featured real students. Crooks was one of those students, BlackRock told CBS Money Watch. He was not paid, nor was he hired by the company as an actor. Then why would you take it down? In 2022, we ran an ad featuring a teacher from Bethel. Why not say the teacher's name? Why do you keep saying a teacher? You could probably silence a lot of the criticisms and curiosities aimed at your direction if you just say the name of the teacher. Because the name of he's an actor, he was probably paid. Well, he wasn't an actor, but you know what I'm saying? He was probably paid to be a part of the commercial. Usually they pay you for your time in these situations. And he was part of a series. So instead of just saying a teacher, because you said the school, now we obviously know Mr. Crooks was part of it. So why do you keep saying a teacher? So BlackRock said in a statement to CBS Money Watch, we will make all the video footage available to appropriate authorities, and we have removed the video from circulation out of respect for the victims. What? His face is about to be plastered all over the internet, and they already admitted that it's already available and circulating on social media. And they've not made a plea to social media companies to take it down. Hold on, what happened? So there's an update ruled out for VP for Trump really quick. RFK, Rubio, and Burgum not ruled out. Tulsi, VD, or Vivek. Oh, JD Vance selected as Trump's VP. Who the fuck is JD Vance? Y'all give me a second. I gotta figure this out before we continue. Who the hell? It literally just came out. Is this really? Sorry, I'm trying to confirm. If y'all confirm too, let me know. JD Vance has been confirmed as Trump's VP. But RFK had a meeting with Trump 2 hours, and but I guess he ultimately decided not to go with him. So I'm trying to confirm that this is true. What? Who the fuck is JD? Somebody said a white guy. What? There's no way. Did he really pick some random dude? It appears that JD Vance is. Oh, even Tulsi Gabbard is saying that is JD Vance. Let me look for my Republican people. What are they saying? Sorry, this is kind of crazy. I'm kind of surprised. I'm not gonna lie to you. I guess we should have guessed that he was going to pick somebody who wasn't going to have any chance of outshining him, right? That's like on brand for Trump. Is Antifa really out there in Milwaukee marching? See, this is my problem. That's not really Antifa. I keep telling people. Antifa, if you disappeared whenever Biden got elected, you're not anti-fascist. Somebody said, oh, this is Sagar. Sagar said that, matter of fact, we're going to look at this together because this is crazy. Let's take a brief intermission from our conspiracy theories. And let's figure out what the hell's going on. Damn, Zero Hedge is on it. This man put out they put out an article immediately. So Trump picks JD Vance as running mate. I've never heard of JD Vance. Am I wrong? Should I know who JD Vance is, guys? Should I know who that is? Am I crazy? I'm trying to look what Republicans. Oh, he's a senator. Okay. Yeah, Tulsi confirms JD Vance. So I guess that's it. I don't know who he is. Oh man. Some might argue that JD Vance said all these things about Trump before he ran for office, and now he's changed his mind. I'm a never Trump. Oh wow. Okay, so this is interesting. He said, "I'm a never Trump guy. Never liked him. Terrible candidate. Idiot. If you voted for him, America's Hitler. Cynical asshole. Obnoxious. Reprehensible. Cultural heroin." Okay. But that's why it matters more. It's his beliefs, and all these comments were about Trump's characters, not his policy. His hatred for him is clearly showing. I mean, you can make that argument for literally most Democrats didn't have a problem with his policy because, like, his bad policy they agreed with. They were also attacking Trump's character. Okay, I'm gonna keep on reading. I'm just gonna give him a chance. I'm gonna give him a chance. Now, why did he change his mind? What specific incident made him do a 180-degree turn? It's nothing, but he needed Trump's endorsement for his Senate run. Okay, and he did what all other chameleon politicians do: change color as per the opportunity. Can we risk this man the number 2 position in the White House when there is a threat to Trump's imprisonment and even an assassination? No. Oh, okay. This person's actually saying that this is not a good pick. He will again change the color when his donor tells him to do so, like Mike Pence did. Hell, Mike Pence wasn't even all that Trump-ish. That he wasn't even pro-Trump whenever Trump picked him. That was definitely an RNC pick. Please don't, this person's making an appeal to Trump. Please don't take advice from those who gave you Mike Pence, Pompeo, and Nikki Haley last time. Amen to that. They will finish you and your family if you fall for a compromised VP this time. Just ask the question, what is the commonality between the bosses of all those mainstream media, all those in mainstream media who attacked you day and night, the financier of all those politicians who impeached you 2 times, and the lobby supporting JD Vance now? They're all the same people. Well, there you go. Looks like JD Vance was Apac's pick. It's not a good look, Trump. It's not a good look, guy. Oh, I disappeared. Hold on. Why did I disappear? Y'all give me a second. I'm gonna figure out why I disappeared. This is crazy. That's peculiar. There we go. Damn, I started talking about JD Vance and they take me off the screen. All I said was he's APAC can. They did not like that. Bro. Who the hell is JD? I mean, I know he's a senator, but like so remember when I said that there are Republicans who would benefit and who would, I'm not going to say they would celebrate openly, but they would definitely celebrate behind the scenes if Trump was out of the picture. You know whose pick JD Vance looks like? JD Vance looks like Nikki Haley's pick. That looks like somebody that Nikki Haley would pick as vice president. Right? Am I wrong for that? Because like I told y'all yesterday, everyone keeps talking about the Democrats benefiting and the Democrats. And I said, no. Yeah, the Democrats benefit, but it ain't just the Democrats. The Republican convention is Monday, today. That's it. And as it currently stands, because Nikki Haley, as much distance as Trump had from Nikki Haley had just as much distance from everybody else, and therefore would likely be the nominee. This seems like somebody who they were like, this is the compromise VP pick to make sure that the Republicans stay on your side. $180,000 from AIPAC in your Senate race does not inspire confidence. YouTube totally crashed Nick's live stream with Margaret Kimberly. Shut up. Do y'all okay, so I don't want to go full conspiracy, but there are a lot of people live streaming from the RNC convention right now. So there is a possibility that YouTube is having server issues. I'm trying to be judicious here. Sparky, thank you for the super chat. You should have known J.D. Vance was under consideration. Supposedly, he was one of the few non-war mongers under consideration. Despite her changes, I have preferred Tulsi. You know what's crazy? Because y'all know how much of a problem I have with Tulsi's Palestine stance. I always say it's her Palestine stance, and the reason why is because she isn't really all that pro-Israel. But it's, in my opinion, it's very obvious that her Hindu religion is playing a huge if you know the history between, I can't get into it right now, huge history between Hindus and Muslims. They don't like each other. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And that was playing too much of a role in her perception of this conflict with Israel and Palestine. And not only that, but then it's also her military history, because the majority of the Muslims that she comes into contact with are the most extremists, which ironically are paid by the United States. And she's not aware that most Muslims don't like them. So, but that notwithstanding, I would have preferred Tulsi to that, because at least I know Tulsi is good on 88% of foreign policy issues, right? I'll take that. I will take 88% of foreign policy. I do not want Senator J.D. Vance from fucking I don't know who or where. Suppose you say he's a non-warmonger? Like, let me look at, let's look at what Mr. J.D. Vance had to say about goddamn Israel and Palestine. Let's look at that. Because I want to know now. Not Israel, Palestine, excuse me. I pretty much already know his stance on that. J.D. Vance in Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, this could have something to do with why he selected Vance. Maybe. Once again, I'm kind of surprised because I've never even heard this guy's name before, and that could be on me, but this could have something to do with it. So if you see here, J.D. Vance stance on Russia-Ukraine war. He's an Ohio Republican. Oh, that kind of explains it too. Okay. Battleground state. That also, okay. So I guess strategically that does make sense. And this is why we research, right? He's been vocal about his opposition to providing aid to Ukraine in its conflict with Russia. Here are some key points about his views. Dismissive attitude. I don't know what that means. Well, I do know what it means, but it's a weird way to state that. Vance has been criticized for his dismissive attitude towards Ukraine's plight, with some calling it an insult to the 70,000 Ukrainian Americans in Ohio. 70,000 Ukrainian Americans in Ohio? Hold up. There are 70,000 Ukrainian Americans in Ohio? That's wild, because I know whenever there was some brown and black people that ended up in Chicago and in New York, it was a whole uproar about it from Republicans. And now I'm finding out that a senator, I guess maybe he has said something about it, but he ain't said enough about it. 70,000, bro. That is a lot of Ukrainians. Because I'm going to assume that they're refugees, a lot of them. That's just a lot, bro. 70,000 is a lot of anything in any city or state. That's crazy. I do know about the 100,000 refugees. That's why I'm saying 70,000 is a lot. And that 100,000 refugees, those are the ones we've given Social Security benefits to. So I guess these Ukrainians fall in that category. That's wild though. That's a lot of Ukrainians in one city in the middle of the fucking country, right? Because I'm used to Ukrainians settling in South Florida. Normally in the Aventura, Sunny Owls Beach, it's Miami, but technically it's considered Dade County area. That's not Dade County, excuse me. It's Miami, but it's technically considered Broward. That's where I'm used to Ukrainians settling at. I'm not really, I ain't never heard of a bunch of Ukrainians just hanging out in Ohio, but whatever. Lack of support. Vance has voted against providing aid to Ukraine, citing concerns about the effectiveness of the aid and the potential for it to prolong the war. He's right. Okay. Alternative strategy. Vance has suggested that the U.S. should focus on negotiating a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine rather than providing military aid to Ukraine. Okay. Criticisms of Ukraine's strategy. Vance has also criticized Ukraine's strategy, saying that it lacks a clear plan for winning the war and that Ukraine's goals are fantastical. That is damn sure. Focus on domestic issues. Vance has emphasized the need to focus on domestic issues such as economic growth and job creation rather than getting involved in foreign conflicts. Oh, okay. Well, shit, that's not bad. Concerns about Russia's intentions. Vance's views have also been criticized by some who argue that Russia's intentions are not peaceful and that Ukraine needs a military aid. Okay. So you know what, guys? I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about this Russia-Ukraine war in the context of BlackRock and Trump and Mr. Crooks. And I guess after Saturday, he wanted somebody that he knew was not going to change his tune once he got into the White House because he has a history of voting against the legislation. And he's going to be welcomed by the Republican Party because I'm not going to say that Tulsi wouldn't have been welcomed, but I'm sure a lot of people still view Tulsi as a Democrat, even though her views on many issues have switched. And she doesn't consider herself a Democrat. So, but this guy hasn't even, apparently, he gets criticized by some Republicans. Like I said, y'all, what did I say? Trump getting taken out would not just piss off Democrats, and it would not just be convenient for Democrats. I said that. But to pick a guy in a battleground state who aligns with you on one of the most important issues that you are being challenged on, that's already a senator, I can see that. I can see that. Way better than Nikki Haley. I will give her that. I would give him that. That's way better than Nikki Haley, better than Vivek. I don't trust Vivek. I believe that Vivek would still push for aid in Ukraine. That boy is the worst chameleon in history. The worst chameleon in history. But in my opinion, and y'all could agree with me or not, I'd like to know what y'all comments are about this. But in my opinion, it seems to me like this pick might have had something to do with the assassination attempt. Sentient dreaming, what's going on? In my opinion, this might have had something to do with the assassination attempt. He might have been leaning one way and was like, nah, I gotta go. So Trump has already started receiving briefings about Russia and Ukraine. That was announced the other day. Also, it would make sense considering former president, currently running, is the Republican nominee and is firmly ahead. So picking someone who is okay, picking someone from the Republican Party who has actually been okay with being openly attacked for rebuking this war between Russia and Ukraine makes a whole lot of sense. And he picked someone that because he can only serve one more term, right? He already served one full term. If something happened to him or he gets through this term and the war is still ongoing for whatever reason, he's picking somebody who would not flip the script based on history. So I guess that makes sense. It does. And once again, just from a strategic perspective, if the race is going to be, some people might believe this race is going to be close. Not because it should be, but because we know our democracy. The United States is a democracy nominally, in name only and exclusively. What happens usually is that both parties cheat, and sometimes the cheating is not enough, or sometimes somebody doesn't, somebody cheats better. That's basically what happens. Be real about it. But it could be close. And Ohio is one of those states that you need to win. So kind of makes sense. Sparky, I think Tulsi's negative attitude towards Muslims would have been softened, along with Modi's, since BRICS partners are primarily Muslim. Yeah, I think that. So I don't know if it would have been softened overall, but I do believe that she would have been willing to work with them to maintain peace, because Tulsi's also not an idiot. She would see the trajectory of the country in the world and the United States position on the world stage. She wouldn't just let her attitude regarding Muslims sink the United States, because that's effectively what's happening right now. Is Biden's dumbassity is the only way I can describe it. His stupidity is allowing BRICS to rise and Russia to emerge as the leader of BRICS. They are direct. We're already in, we're not becoming a multipolar world. We're in it. It's here, guys. Like I said the other day, this man, Vladimir Putin, has become the Oprah of weapon systems. You get a missile. You get a missile. North Korea gets missiles. India gets missiles. Everybody gets missiles. You got problems with the US? Here, take a missile. So Russia is already positioning themselves alongside BRICS. I mean, when they peeled away Saudi Arabia from the United States. And I don't believe that was a 1 year or 2 year thing. This has been going on for at least 4 to 5 years, probably. I'll say about 4 to 5 years. Because what a lot of people don't realize, that assassination of Soleimani, a lot of people think that it was strictly military or strictly a military operation. No. Soleimani had been meeting with the Saudi Arabian royal family and the king and the prince. And that had been going on for about a year or two. And Iran, because they were going to squash their beef and start working together when it came to the production and sale of oil. Because Saudi Arabia is not stupid. Remember, at this moment, we were having all this open beef with Iran. And if we had Iran under our control, the only competition that we would have in the region really would be Saudi Arabia, because we already have control in some capacity over Syria's oil fields. Iran is our real competition in the area, but if we get control of Iran, we overthrow their government, it would just be Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia ain't stupid. They're ain't no way that the U.S. is going to let us be their ally when we're the only ones left that could pose a threat to them when it comes to oil. It would just mean that we're next. So let's go ahead and open the doors to negotiations with Iran. And they had been meeting, Saudi Arabia and Iran had been meeting together in Iraq to have these discussions. That was what Soleimani had been doing. It wasn't the first time that he had done so. But the US used it to their advantage and they took him out. And that's what that was about, to try and break down the relations. So okay, so I guess as JD Vance guy regarding the Russia situation, it's a big deal. I mean, I probably disagree with him on 90% of issues. I know for 100% fact, I'm going to disagree with him on his stance on Israel, but that's not really it's not going to be him that determines that. That's going to be Trump at the end of the day. I think we all know that. So, and I don't know where Trump is going to do on Israel and Palestine. I wish I could tell you, but he's unpredictable in that regard. I know that he's not going to stand. I don't believe that he's going to stand for us just giving a bunch of money to Israel to start a bunch of wars, like, because they're starting a war with Lebanon. They're probably about to start beef again with Iran, because that's just what they do. They're constantly assaulting Syria, and on top of that, they're doing what they're doing in Gaza and the West Bank. Egypt is our ally. Egypt is getting pissed about it. Egypt, we actually give we've actually given the second largest amount of aid to Egypt, like foreign aid. That's like a really strange fun fact, but it's Israel and then Egypt. And it's probably because we're paying Egypt to put up with Israel's shit. But I'm pretty sure that Trump isn't going to want to give a bunch of money to either side anymore. With Israel specifically, because he don't like being associated with losers. And Netanyahu is looking like a loser right now. He's made it clear that he does not like what Netanyahu is doing. And Netanyahu put out a video the day after the assassination attempt, and I'm thinking to myself, like, boy, you need to sit this one out, because for everything with everything we know about Israel, the Messiah was probably involved in this shit in some way, form, or fashion. I bet some of those Secret Service agents spoke Hebrew. I'm gonna just put it like that. So I'm not gonna pretend like Trump is gonna do anything for the Palestinians, but I can say that I don't believe that Trump is about to just keep giving unlimited money to Israel. And Israel's economy is actually suffering significantly. The shekel to the value of the shekel to the dollar is falling significantly. They're suffering from immense inflation. The construction industry is plummeting. The manufacturing industry is plummeting. The only industry that is somewhat surviving, and it's because it is not based really on whether or not Israel itself is safe, is the tech industry. But the tech industry is not enough to keep Israel afloat. On top of that, because they're having to call up so many men of working age who work in those industries that are of fighting age to the reserves, or from the reserves rather, they're out fighting wars now. And it's even worse because there were tens of thousands getting called up for the war in Gaza and for the annexation of the West Bank. But now there are hundreds of thousands being called up for those conflicts, but also because Netanyahu's about to start war with Hezbollah. So if they're not working, it's kind of hard for the industry to recover. And you know how Trump is. He'll hit you with that, you're fired, real quick. He said, this ain't good business, dog. So he's not going to, I don't see Trump doing anything for Palestinians. But that doesn't mean that he's going to continue to give money to Israel's losing effort. Especially if it is actually costing us our relationships with Saudi Arabia. Remember, he worked on that relationship with Saudi Arabia. He was rubbing elbows with them. People forget that. North Korea just joined BRICS. Maybe they're not so quick to join BRICS if Trump was still in power, because Trump and Kim Jong-un, they were good. Remember? Trump even began to say, hey, man, we're going to take some of the Navy out of the area, stop threatening y'all with these military operations. So maybe North Korea doesn't join BRICS. this. But hey, now that's out the window. Just saying. Now, back to this whole BlackRock thing. Yeah, y'all don't find it a little bit suspicious? Back if you missed the show, basically BlackRock and JP Morgan, but specifically BlackRock, is the most invested in the reconstruction of Ukraine. So here's what the point I was going to make before we found out about Trump's VP pick. And this is probably the most important point. Because some people would probably say, well, what does that have to do? They're going to build a bank in Kiev. And that bank is going to get investments from BlackRock and JP Morgan. And so why is that a big deal? Why would that mean BlackRock is involved? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but if Putin wins this war, which he will, and if Trump is at the table negotiating with Putin, like, yo, man, so it's more than just negotiate with Putin. Let's just say that Trump doesn't even negotiate with Putin. Let's just say he sits down with Zelensky. The conversation is going to go a little something like this. We're not giving you any more money. So if you have plans on potentially making a peace deal with Putin, I suggest you start now. Because tomorrow you may not get an opportunity because we're cutting you off. You're bad for business. You're fired. That's how that conversation is going to go. So Trump won't even have to negotiate with Putin about that peace deal. You get what I'm saying? Now, with Zelensky not receiving any more money from the United States, I think we can all pretty much agree it's safe to say they won't be getting any more money from NATO either. Or at least nowhere near as much. Why is that? Because NATO does what we tell them to. That's why NATO is here. That's how NATO has become a thing. That's why it exists. NATO does what we tell them to. So you can't count on, and also NATO has made it clear as well. They're not going to accept Ukraine into their little limited hangout. They're not going to do it. So there's that. The United States will not commit troops to this effort when Trump's in power. So there's that. And if the United States is not going to commit troops to it, then other countries will likely start to follow suit. Because in order for those troops to go to Ukraine and be well funded, what would have to happen? NATO would have to start to would be funding it. And for NATO to have the funding to fund these military operations, who would be the principal funder of those operations? The United States. So yeah, in other words, Zelensky would be stuck between a black rock and a hard place. All the puns intended. So what I am saying is that it would be left to Zelensky and Putin to negotiate. And by negotiate, I mean Putin will take what the fuck he wants to, and Zelensky has no room to deny him anything. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So if Putin can negotiate in whatever capacity he wants to, and Zelensky cannot deny him anything, he'll be lucky if Ukraine is, if we even are still saying the name Ukraine in a year and a half, Zelensky will be very lucky because it will probably become part of Russia. And that's his fault and NATO's fault. What was supposed to be an operation that was meant to stop Ukraine from joining NATO, that was meant to stop Ukraine from bombing Crimea, from bombing the Donbass region, from attacking Eastern Ukrainians because they're natively Russian. That was what the goal was. Now you've made it so that we can't fucking trust you at all unless we're in charge. So what do you think happens to Kiev, the capital of Ukraine? And actually, what's crazy, I think that Kiev used to be the capital of Russia. Am I crazy? Didn't Kiev used to be the capital of Russia? If I'm not mistaken, Kiev was the capital of Russia at one point and between the 9th and 13th centuries. It wasn't called Kiev. I think it was called something else. In 1934, Kiev became the capital of Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. So anyway, my point is there might be a Kiev, but I'm not exactly sure that there will be a Ukraine. And by that, I mean Russia will be in charge. And by that, I mean, do you believe, as I take my sip of orange juice, do you guys believe that Russia is going to allow BlackRock and JP Morgan to invest in the reconstruction projects of Kiev and the surrounding area that will probably be Russia? Do you believe that Putin will accept that money from BlackRock and JP Morgan to build that area? You think that he's going to let the companies that helped to start and facilitate this war make a massive profit off of this war? And this is why I say we have to remove ourselves from this binary picture that I know a lot of people are thinking Trump Republican, Biden Democrat. And generally in a more broader sense, false flag, United States, this is the norm. There is more to the world. And I always say this. People say there's two things that I have to dispel. I always have to say that there is more to the world than Republican, Democrat, and your very limited view of how you view the government. Even if you're a skeptic of the government. That part I agree with, but it's more to the world. But there's also the other reality, because there are people who will argue with me. You don't know. There's more to the world than they'll say the United States is not the center of the world regarding foreign policy and everyone's decision making regarding foreign policy. I said, no, that's not true. We are the center of the world for that. It doesn't matter if we are controlling your government directly or indirectly, or whether your government is taking precaution because they do not want to fall victim to the United States. At this juncture, the United States is the center of the world for foreign policy because the majority of the world is ran, or at least was at one point ran, on the petrodollar. And at this moment, well, maybe not as much anymore, but at that moment, before I guess 2 years ago, the petrodollar ran the world. So with those two things in mind, remembering that the duopoly is not the only thing that the duopoly's interests are not the only things controlling the decision making in the United States and around the world, but also remembering that everything that happens in the US affects the international community and everybody invested in the international community. That's why I said yesterday, could it be a false? It could be. Could Trump technically be in on it? Yeah, he could. But what would he have to gain? What would Trump have to gain? He's winning already. Biden's beating himself up. George Clooney already came out writing an article and he got Obama to fucking sign off on it, saying that Biden need to go. Democrats are imploding. They have nobody to replace Biden with. God knows if they replace Biden with Kamala, the race is over yesterday. And now, for those people who are pissed about all their tax dollars going to Russia and Ukraine, Trump he's locked up that base. The attempt on his life would only hurt him. Or rather, it would be a marginal help. I'm gonna put it like that. It wouldn't hurt him. Obviously, it would hurt him if he got killed. But what I'm saying is, there are too many things that line up that make it look like the opposite of a false flag. Because we all know who BlackRock is. We all know who they work for. I mean, beyond just working for themselves, but I mean, like, we know who they're whenever they say you'll own nothing and you'll like it, they're talking about BlackRock. BlackRock is going to be who own everything. BlackRock is going to be who you're leasing from. BlackRock is the home loan, or you can't buy a house, or you were getting outbidded on the last day before closing. Why rent has gone through the fucking roof in every city. Doubled in some cases in major cities from just 2 years ago. BlackRock is the reason why homes are getting foreclosed on. And normally you would be able to just pay the taxes and be able to buy them. But for some reason, somebody beat you to the punch. And you don't even know who it was. BlackRock is investing in the Ukraine war. It's always BlackRock. And by BlackRock, I mean the powers that be. So whenever they say you will own nothing, it's BlackRock who owns everything. That's who you're leasing it from. So if Trump gets assassinated, the next question would be, what's next? Right? I feel like everybody kind of understands that. What's next? Who? Biden wins? Okay, yeah. Biden wins with 4 years and no accountability? Yeah, that sounds like a win for BlackRock and crew. Because we all know that the big boss, the big guy, literally, according to Hunter Biden's laptop, the big guy is who? It's Biden. He's been running the show in Ukraine. This isn't new. But maybe we look at the Republican side. Once again, as I said yesterday and I said today, maybe you're just now joining. If Trump gets knocked out, who replaces him? Nikki Haley, who is possibly, I mean, just for no reason at all, the most anti-Putin, pro-Russia war hawk that I have ever listened to. This woman tried to compare, there was a video where she tried to compare like 9/11 and Putin and like his birthday or some shit. Somehow was trying to loosely connect 9/11 and Vladimir Putin. I'm not joking. That's a real video. Go look it up. And she's as bad, if not worse, when it comes to Iran, guys. And is definitely 100% more Zionist than Trump is. She was the one who came out and said that we need to continue to give aid to Israel without any qualifications, without any goals, unlimited. That's what Nikki Haley said. No restrictions, no conditions. You get what I'm saying, guys? So yeah, could it have been? Yeah, but why? And why would it happen? Are you telling me it happened? It just so happens to happen right after Trump. I mean, not Trump, excuse me. This assassination attempt on Trump just so happens to come right after Biden. And overall, the Democrats have had the worst 2 weeks possibly in my lifetime. You cheated to get a dementia Parkinson's candidate to be your nominee. And I do think it's worth mentioning, guys, it's a little bit hilarious that they found themselves in this position, because if you wouldn't have worked with the Republicans, ironically, so hard to keep third parties from having a chance to win, you might have had a chance to stop Trump, huh? If you didn't work so hard to stop Jill Stein, you didn't work so hard to stop libertarians. Hell, if you didn't even work so hard to stop JFK or the Socialist Party, just third parties in general, if you didn't work so, I mean, when I say worked hard, I'm not saying like, oh, they just rigged the debates. That's like the tip of the iceberg. Right now, the federal government is literally keeping money from Jill Stein. People. Keeping money from Jill Stein that she earned. And now look at the result. You cheated to get dementia Joe. Genocide Joe, the nomination, and you're stuck with him until the convention at least. But even at the convention, if you decide to swap him out, you don't have anybody that can beat Trump, and you just made him a living fucking legend because you missed. Because y'all take these kids with mental health issues. Y'all know how this goes. What they call it, MK Ultra. Y'all do know that this is a history with they take these patsies, or they take these kids, mental health issues, isolated. Man, there's even a movie about it with Ben Affleck. It's like the exact formula. I think it's called Sniper, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's called Sniper. Y'all tell me in the comment section if you remember. They take these kids on the spectrum of autism, oftentimes rejected. They promise them they're going to look cool. They're going to learn how to shoot. All the ladies are going to love them. They're going to have friends. They're going to be important. Their life is going to have meaning. And they convince them to do some shit like this. This is historic. And of course he missed. Because he's a 20-year-old kid. Let me check out some of these super chats. Sparky, at least we can be confident that none of those 70,000 Ukrainian refugees are Nazis who might come together as white supremacists. We can be how can we be confident about that? I don't know if you know the world. Is that sarcasm? Because I don't know if you know about the United States history, but the people that we usually tend to take in tend to align with the Nazi side, the other side. When U.S. missile system, I'm assuming when the U.S. missile system failed to protect that Saudi oil refinery several years back, that Yemen drone attacked, the Saudis were like, what good is the petrodollar if the U.S. can't protect this? Maybe. That could be it. Sparky, send you some Rumble rants since YouTube is blocking a lot of super chats. YouTube's blocking super chats, really. So I just I'm gonna remind everybody who's watching the Rumble, I can't actually see Rumble until I leave my stream because of I'm in Brazil. And Brazil and Rumble have beef. So sorry about that. And it's not even it doesn't even let Rumble. I thought that Rumble was supposed to connect to StreamYard, but it doesn't even let Rumble connect to StreamYard. The chats, I mean. But yeah, man, this is what we're dealing with. And the Democrats, they messed up. But it's more important to remember, in my opinion, that it ain't just Trump. It's not Trump. Okay, so maybe, I don't know if y'all watched my hotspot videos. You should. They're very educational. A while back, I did a video on Fico. He's the prime minister. He's a prime minister of Slovakia. He is also, Slovakia being part of NATO. Is Slovakia? Yeah, Slovakia. Part of NATO, prime minister, assassination attempt. Y'all remember they tried to kill him, try to off him the moment he became prime minister, because he has been an open critic of the war in Ukraine and wants to push for peace. And he is a member of NATO and was trying to build a coalition within NATO to push for the same idea. Okay. Do y'all know that he met with the now president of the EU, Viktor Orban, who's the current prime minister of Hungary, right before the assassination attempt? Y'all know that? Oh, but it gets better. Hey, shout out to all my new subscribers, because you about to get some information here that you probably haven't gotten in other places too. Do y'all know when Donald Trump met with Viktor Orban, the current president of the EU, who got done visiting Zelensky and Putin not a week ago, that he was getting attacked by members of the EU because he wanted peace in that region? Do y'all know when Trump met with Viktor Orban? just want to make sure I get my dates correct, guys. Just want to make sure I get my dates correct. I don't want to mislead y'all. When was Saturday? So Saturday was the 13th, right? If I'm not mistaken. Saturday was the 13th. That means that Trump met with Viktor Orban on the 12th. Y'all heard me? If Saturday was the 13th, that means he met, hold on, let me, oh, they're trying to freeze me up. I'm going to say that again because they ain't going to freeze me up, goddammit. Y'all going to let me speak. Y'all going to hear this. If Saturday was the 13th, Donald Trump met with Viktor Orban on the 12th. I'm going to confirm it one more time for y'all. So y'all, I'm going to see if I can find a source to send to y'all. And it was specifically, yeah, not crazy. Yeah, July 12th. I mean, I had to verify it, but I talked about it today in my hotspot video. But my point is, Wall Street Journal covered it, in case you're curious. Trump's man in Europe, Hungary's Orban. It's weird how they keep calling him Hungary's Orban instead of referring to him, which is as his title, which is probably the most important at the moment, the president of the EU. It's probably an important title that you should make sure to mention when you're putting that in quotes. Trump's man in Europe, Hungary's Orban, steps up as a global envoy. Shunned by other European leaders, Orban, seeking place on world stage, visits Kiev, Moscow, Beijing, Washington, and Mar-a-Lago. Europe's contrarian, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is positioning himself as Donald Trump's link across the Atlantic, claiming he is on a peace mission to end the war in Ukraine. What else do we need to talk about, y'all? What else do we need more? I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of my leftist friends. Shout out to my guys. I feel them. A lot of them are like, nah, man, it's false flag. It's fake. It's wrestling. Nah, bro. Nah. No, sir. Sorry. Y'all know Niko. Facts and patterns. Facts and patterns. Man said sarcasm alert. Yeah. Facts and patterns, guys. He meets with Orban with the specific goal of talking peace in Ukraine. After the debate, he made it clear how he felt about it. He called Zelensky a salesman with the way he was able to come to DC and walk away with $80 billion like it's nothing. Made it very clear where he stands between when it comes to Russia-Ukraine war. Viktor Orban meets with Russia. He met with China too, but more specifically, he met with Russia and Zelensky. And he met with Trump right before the convention. But more importantly, right before this rally. And the next day, Mr. BlackRock commercial guy tries to assassinate Trump. The man who could be possibly standing in the way of $1 billion reconstruction investment for BlackRock. I'm just saying, guys, y'all think that's coincidence? Facts and patterns rule the universe. That's facts. Friendly Brilliant, what's going on? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. What percentage of the monthly membership fee do you get? Knowing YouTube, probably 70%, something like that, 70, 73%. I know they usually take around 30% of everything. Because that's what YouTube does. They take our ad revenue, even though they get paid to post. They get paid to post the ads, and then they take a percentage of our ad revenue. It's just whatever, I guess. But then y'all become members to our channels, but then they take a percentage of our membership, and then y'all give us super chats, but then they take a percentage of our that you get. Like, what? Sorry, y'all. I just that's YouTube though. I know that. For Rockfin, for tips, they give you 100% of your tips, if I'm not mistaken. They only take a percentage of the membership every month. Niko, this is a good question. If Trump is going to end the war and BlackRock needs the war ended, where is the facts there? No, Trump, no. BlackRock needs BlackRock needs the war ended on Zelensky and NATO's terms. Trump pulling the funding from Zelensky, pulling the military funding and military aid from Zelensky, leaves Zelensky with no chips to bargain with. He's going into negotiations buck ass naked, and Putin is going to take what he wants. If Putin takes what he wants, bet money Kiev is on that list of demands. There will be no Kiev as it currently stands. Kiev will not be the capital of Ukraine. Ukraine will be lucky to exist. But at the bare minimum, because the problems that have been going on, not just with this war, but for at least 10, 15 years, have originated from West Ukraine and Kiev. So Putin is going to want to make sure that those problems can never happen again. And I would likely imagine that one of the demands that he makes, if he is gracious enough, because like I said, at that point, it will be graciousness. It will be grace. And I don't know if he's feeling in a grateful mood because Russians have lost their lives in a war that was not necessary. Because of NATO, because of the United States, and because of Zelensky's unwillingness to push back. I don't think he'll be in a gracious mood. But if he was gracious enough to allow Kiev to be the capital of Ukraine still without Russian rule, you can guarantee that he's not going to allow that bank to be built so that all the people who started this war can profit off of it right after. That ain't going to happen. But Zelensky will have if Trump wins, bro, that billions of dollars, because they say that's a $1 billion, they said it's $1 billion. That would be the investment, but that's an investment and debt. But investment, in other words, the reconstruction would likely be funded by who? Go ahead and take if in a weird in the off chance that Zelensky and Ukraine somehow manage to win this war or get any of their list of demands, which is not likely, but in the off chance that happens, who would fund the reconstruction of Ukraine? I give you two guesses. It's the United States and NATO. BlackRock and JP Morgan are investing in the reconstruction of Ukraine, which is smart, right? But NATO and the United States would give the money to the tune of billions to Ukraine in order to give to this bank to then pay out the companies that would take part in rebuilding Ukraine. Those companies would receive financial injections to the tunes of hundreds of millions to billions of dollars. In percentage-wise, for all the companies that then invested into BlackRock to give that money to that bank that is now dispersing all the money that has been given to them by the United States and NATO, let's just say there would be a lot of new millionaires, 100 millionaires and billionaires that pop up in the next few years. What about Vanguard? I don't know. I'm sure Vanguard's involved, but with Ukraine specifically, it's always BlackRock has always been pulling the cards on with Ukraine. Vanguard might be a part of it, but it's definitely been mostly BlackRock. And I mean, it ain't Vanguard that got a goddamn commercial with Trump's shooter in the background. Hey, and really quick, we're going to get up off of here in a second, but I do got to say, or I have to make a request of you guys. Other than like, share, subscribe if this is your first time here. But I need y'all to figure out what the name of the teacher in that BlackRock commercial is. If y'all can figure that out for me and send it to me, I would greatly appreciate it. Because I think that we all know that they're going through such extreme lengths to protect the name of that, because they named the school. So I'm gonna try to look it up. I'm gonna see what I can find to see who was working at the school that year. You know, who was teaching seniors specifically that year. Let's see what I can find. He might still be on the staff. This is 2022. We can go to that school's page. I'm gonna try to look it up after I get off of here. But if y'all can find it before me, send it my way, because I can almost guarantee this man has quite the history. All right. Sentient Dreamer, thank you very much for the super chat. Is X or YouTube better for membership via percentage you get? Definitely YouTube for the time being. Definitely YouTube for the time being. And because X will, so the thing about X when it comes to membership is that they have been known to they'll wait until the end of the month when you've accrued all of your X membership, because everybody gets charged separately on X and then they pay you out on one day. It isn't like they have 1 day of charging. So they'll wait until the end. This has happened to 2 or 3 people. And then the day before you get paid out, they'll cut if you do something they don't like, they'll suspend your ability to monetize and keep all your money. That's happened to 2 or 3 people. So YouTube at minimum, whenever they took me off of the partnership program, for the last month and a half that I had, for the ad revenue that I earned for that month and a half, they still paid me out at least for that. But X terrifies me. YouTube terrifies me too, but YouTube has been getting sued so much lately that they've been trying to start getting their act together. And with the competition of X and Rumble, they've been forced to be a little bit more averse to screwing people over. A little bit, not a lot, it's still YouTube. But Rockfin is probably the safest place to become a premium subscriber. Obviously, I have Patreon too. All those links are in the description. But yeah, for now, YouTube is the best place to be a subscriber. If that changes, I will make sure to let everybody know. Be rake it off in BlackRock. Yeah. Somebody gonna get broken off in BlackRock, but it ain't gonna be the investors. They're not about to get a piece of not a damn thing. Bro, do you know billions of dollars, guys? They've gotten $1 billion. They've gotten $1 billion, and it's about to blow up in their faces. It's about to blow up in their faces. And people are like, what? There's no reason to assassinate Trump. Bro, what? I believe $1 billion in high risk investments is a perfectly legitimate reason. When you're about to lose, because this isn't like we're going to lose some of it, guys. They're going to lose all of their money. Because Trump was able to get out of this, make it past the nomination process, and Biden is so horrible, there's a chance that these people, these investors at the venture capitalist groups that are part of this project, there's a chance that they're already pulling out. Did y'all know that? Because that happens all the time. Can you do buy me a coffee? Yeah, Kathy, I do want to do buy me a coffee. I haven't done that yet, but I was thinking about doing that. But I have a litany of things I have to do still. So, but yeah, buy me a coffee. I've heard a lot of great things about, and I heard they give the largest percentage. They pay out the largest percentage to their people. So, Snow Himbo I'm willing to bet that Trump won't do anything for Ukraine. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we already been. That's what we've been talking about. That's what we've been talking about. So, but yeah, that's my point. Is that think about. We don't know because they already said in that article, in case you missed it, that it's a private investment. So in other words, at least for the time being, we can't see who is actually investing and who isn't investing because we're not allowed to invest, only the private firms that they accept. So what I'm saying is it is largely plausible that because Trump reaffirmed his stance on Ukraine and Biden is shitting the bed and the Democrats are imploding, it is highly plausible, ladies and gentlemen, that the investors have already started pulling out. It is highly plausible that happens. They're looking at the stock market of the world, if you will, not literally stock market, but they're looking at the stock valuation and using world events to determine whether or not this is still a good investment. If you've been paying attention over the last 2 weeks and you're one of those companies that are part of the $1 billion investment in Ukrainian reconstruction based on a bank built in Kiev by Kiev, and you're looking and realizing Zelensky is not going to be able to build this bank. And if he builds it, there's no way in fucking hell that Zelensky or Kiev or Ukraine is going to be in control over it. And even if the bank is still there, Putin is not going to let us do shit. He's not going to let us profit off of this. So you call up Mr. Crooks. you call up the teacher, right? Hey man, you remember that dude that you was telling us about? The one's kind of off, a little weird, gets bullied, but has an AR and somehow got his hands on explosives. Yeah, man. Hey, let's bring him to the office real quick. Let's bring him over. We just need to talk to him about a few things before this Republican convention. Orthodium says $1 billion is literally pocket change. Yeah, $1 billion is pocket change, but investing $1 billion in a guarantee, guys, you have to remember once again, when you look at BlackRock, any of the, like Google, BlackRock, Vanguard, even anything that involves Elon Musk, like Tesla, SpaceX. Well, no, you had to actually invest into Google for SpaceX, but different conversation for a different day. Anything that the government is involved in, that the United States government, it's a slam dunk. That is how BlackRock became BlackRock. You get my drift? In other words, when I say $1 billion, you have to multiply that by like 50 or 60. Over the course of 5 to 10 years. Because we're investing $1 billion, but we're only doing so because in every situation where the United States government is involved, we make the money back exponentially because we pay the politicians to make sure that we can. That's what BlackRock does. But one politician that Trump, the funny thing about Trump, I guess you could say, is ironic, right? Because he's a billionaire, more or less. But the funniest thing about Trump in this particular situation is just like, the Lord, the universe is funny, ironic, it has a sense of humor, but also, like my grandma always say, it works in very mysterious ways, in ways that you would never expect. It will use your adversaries in ways that you would never even believe. Because we're so used to this idea of good and bad. If they're bad, we have nothing to learn, nothing to gain from them. And if they're good, we should always pay attention to them and they're always right. That's not how the universe actually works. The universe will use your adversaries sometimes. And in this particular case, BlackRock can't pay off Trump. Trump don't need their fucking money. I don't know how else to put it. Unless they're going to give Trump several billions, but that would require him sacrificing his image and his brand, which would cause him and his family to lose billions over time. So I don't know if he would do that. And then, ego. but you would have to give Trump billions to make it worth it. You're not, and you can't, there's no legal way to do that. You couldn't get away with doing that, one. And the little hundreds of thousands you offer here, 100,000 here, maybe $1 million here, $1 million there, that should all go, the pocket change for Trump. You can't pay him off to continue this war. He doesn't need the money. You can pay off as many Congress people as you want, but not even all the Republicans support this war. So, and the Republicans are going to win. And there's going to be a lot of Republicans that have to, part of their platform is going to be whatever Trump fuck says it is, because that's how it works. The Republicans are probably going to win back I think they have the Senate, or excuse me, they have the House right now. They're probably going to win back the Senate. But regardless, what they're not going to do is they're not going to piss off Trump. Not all of them, not enough of them. And if he keeps sending back every single piece of legislation and making it public as to why it is, he only has to send back so many pieces of legislation and filibuster, if you will, so many pieces of legislation before Ukraine runs out of money. BlackRock can't pay enough. They cannot pay people enough. I mean, they can, but like not really. You can't pay me to lose my election. If I lose my election, I lose my benefits. And if y'all give me this money and I get caught up, I'm not going to be protected by the government. Like, there's a cost benefit analysis that goes into it. And the fact that they can't pay Trump because of how much fucking money he has. And he's at the point in his life where it's like, bro, he's older. It's about legacy for him now. I think everybody knows that. He only has 4 years left and nothing to lose. Just saying. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning in to this live stream Mimosa Monday for the People podcast special edition. Lord knows it was special. We definitely gonna do some more research into this. Vice President Vance, who has 70,000 Ukrainians living in Ohio, which is super weird, but whatever. We're gonna do some more research into that. We're gonna try to figure out who this teacher is in his BlackRock commercial. Got a hotspot video dropping today on Hotspot on my Twitter and on YouTube. So be sure to check that out and like this video, subscribe, consider becoming a YouTube subscriber, a YouTube member rather. Get all of our extra content, behind the scenes content and stuff like that in our exclusive live streams whenever we start those. But always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.